Hey, Nam.
Hey, Jeremy.
We're back again. We're back for part 3 of our Batman saga leading up to the movie that's coming out soon. That is The Batman 2022. Anyways, so we brought you Batman, the 89. We brought you The Return. But now we're here to give you something forever to think about. And that is Batman Forever, the 1995. And the biggest, I guess it's not his debut, but this is where he got his name blown up. That is Joel Schumacher, right? Batman Forever was a very interesting movie, if now looking at it as an adult. But as a kid, loved everything about it, never questioned anything about it. It was just like a super cartoonish, come to life, sad that Michael Keaton wasn't around anymore for it. Too bad that Tim Burton wasn't around, but we got Jim Carrey. That Jim Carrey was on the rise of a big star, to Tommy Lee Jones coming in as Two-Face, and it was just so crazy. I remember my dad bought that movie for me, and I would watch it over and over again. And at the time as a kid, I love every second of it. Would I say it was my favorite one when I was a kid? No, but it was so cartoony and zany and nuts. Nam, what about you?
It was Batman. I think that was what it was. If it was Superman, if it was Batman, if it was a superhero of any kind. I mean, it's hard to say, though, because now in 2022, if it's a Marvel movie, if it's a superhero comic book movie, we're all excited. Mm-hmm. Except for Jeremy. He's not really excited. He's a little burnt out. Just a tad. Burnt out. Tad burnt out. But you know what? As kids, we were just like, yo, it's a superhero movie. And we were excited. So it didn't really matter what it was. And the fact that Jim Carrey was a big thing for both of us, and for all of you guys out there too as well, we were like, yeah, we excited for this. But now we're grown. We are grown adults. And we're going to sit here and talk to you guys about Batman Forever. And we're going to tell you stories about the mysteries that are involved in this movie. They may not be the truth, but they're going to be our truths. So welcome to the Schumacher era of Batman. While you guys sit back, relax, get your balls in a very comfortable position, and we'll get into it with the unsolved mysteries.
Okay. So, of course, we have the lead with the man himself, Batman, the one that sets the scene for us in every movie. So, Nam, please bring us into the Batcave with the unanswered questions about Batman.
So, yes, let's talk about Bruce Wayne. Let's talk about the Bats. So, low-hanging fruit here. I'm going to aim for this low-hanging fruit here. Joe Schumacher took over this series that Tim Burton got a lot of backlash on. And they were like, this script is so good that we're going to bring this up to Michael Keaton. We're going to bring back Bruce. And Michael Keaton's going to say yes. There's no way he can't say yes. It's Batman, right? And Michael Keaton was, nah, fam. Nah. Then Joe Schumacher was like, well, Val Kilmer, do you want the smoke? And Val was like, yes, I want that smoke. But that's the real world. Let's talk about Joe Schumacher's world. Jeremy, you explained to me how not a damn single person in Gotham City realized that Batman is younger, wears glasses, or that Bruce Wayne is younger, wears glasses, and has his hair changed. And it's probably even shorter now.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody gonna say anything? What's up with that?
I think that they're just taking by his word that he is Bruce Wayne, because unlike other people didn't know that Bruce Wayne found out where that surgeon was that did Joker. And he's like, I want that too. Change my look. All right, I heard you're the best. Let's make that happen. Maybe a little bit younger, okay? All right? So that's what they did. They changed it up. That's what they wanted. That's what he wanted.
Yeah, if you guys don't know, we talked about how this, there's the conspiracy theories about how celebrities are a part of this group called the Illuminati, which we really need to be hush hush about because they're going to eliminate us. But this is the same surgeon that does all the James Bond's movies.
That surgeon's getting paid. He's getting paid
Yes,
that black market money.
this is where they get paid.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Jay, next question. Because we're gonna go rapid fire. We're gonna get through this because Batman's boring.
Yeah.
All
Love him.
right.
Boring.
So there's a part in this movie where Bruce is in the office and he's just like, all right, well, I see the signal. I need to go and become Batman. He does this thing, he gets into his tunnel, or he gets into his thing, and it sends him all the way back to the Batcave. So is his office connected to the mansion, which is above? I'm sorry, the mansion, which is above the Batcave, which in every lore that we know of, I'm pretty sure the mansion is like not in Gotham City. It's like right on the outskirts
Right.
of Gotham City. So he's got this tunnel. Is there this tunnel that just goes all the way down?
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, I gotta keep going here because it's a long drive.
Going 200 miles per hour, by the way.
Yes, that no one sees, that goes all the way and gets into his Batcave.
Apparently not, because remember, like, this is a very tall building his office is in, because, he's at Wayne Enterprise, the same place where, all the gadgets and all these inventions are created. So he's up at that office going shoot all the way down that building, then going down underwater, which the building is set where, like, I guess, would you say it's like a waterfall or reservoir or something there? Because, like, there's a lot of water in front of that building.
I see that.
Yeah, so it has to go right under there. And I think that we forget that Batman does have more than one location other than his mansion where he can get access to his Batman gadgets. So the fact that this one goes down to his mansion is a little weird.
Okay.
It's a little weird to me. I think that the other two places he sold off because it got a little expensive. So he just he remodeled stuff and just decided to shoot everything at the mansion. I think a lot of people don't notice anything because a lot of people are still kind of weirded out, buzzed out, all that stuff from the previous moments, from the Joker going around the city gassing everybody. I mean, Christmas time was crazy. I mean, look at the town now. The town looks so colorful and crazy. Like, you don't know what to believe anymore. So seeing a tunnel like that could just be another sewer thing to people. I don't know. Okay. That's the only thing I can really think of. That, or they decided that his tunnel has to go through the set of Dick Tracy.
Yeah.
Because everything looks like Dick Tracy.
Very colorful Gotham City. I mean, you want to care to elaborate why you want to call it the Dick Tracy in this movie?
If you watch Dick Tracy, the movie, it's very set up of very colorful backgrounds. Really feel like a comic book pop-up book. So this is what it feels here. Like, even at the beginning of the Batman movie arriving to his first place to go after Two-Face, you can see the B-roll going through the city of just so many lights and colorful buildings being shined. Red, blue, green, all this stuff. And all this stuff can be just corrupted by so much stuff from the previous times that Batman fought the villains of Joker and Penguin and all this stuff. I mean, people don't have time to clean up. So they just let it be for what it is. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to say that since Batman, Bruce Wayne is the world's greatest detective. And I'm going to put this in air quotes here because I'm sure we're going to probably poo-poo on that idea throughout this entire conversation. But Bruce Wayne is the only one that took down the Penguin. And he was there whenever he had to fight the Joker in Shrek. So Bruce Wayne is the only one that knows all the tunnels in the secret ways, passageways that were from the Shrek Corporation, from Penguin's lair, and all the penguins, those swimming penguins.
Mm-hmm.
And he just took over all of them, and he cleaned them up, and he made it his own.
Okay.
And no one's gonna question it because he's rich, bitch.
Yeah, as long as he puts a Wayne name on it, no one's gonna question it.
All right, talk about privacy, because I would venture an interesting situation. It's actually an interesting moment. But I think Chase Meridian said something to Batman about how he has a certain, or I'm not Batman. Was it Batman? Batman or Bruce? How he has a certain taste in women.
Yes, at the very beginning, before Batman goes pursue Two-Face.
Exactly. And then Batman was all surprised about it, and he was just like, "You've done your research." But Jeremy, I know you've seen the movie. I know I've seen the movie. And if you guys haven't seen the movie, there's 2 episodes that we did on the movies before this one that you guys can check out. I don't remember anyone else being in the room or how this could have been possible, that they knew that Selena Kyle was Catwoman or that Vicky Vale was dating Batman or Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, sounds suspicious. How do you think all that information, his love life, got out and about?
A penguin? Didn't all the penguins didn't die, right? Maybe a penguin did it. I don't know. That's so weird. It's like someone in the back was just writing information, just spying on Batman the whole time, and Batman was not aware of it or something like that. And it has to be a penguin. It has to be a penguin. You know?
That makes a lot of sense. I mean,
it doesn't.
It makes sense. You know, it does, because the penguin talks to Ace. Ace tells everyone. Then Ace goes crazy, becomes Enigma, and Enigma becomes the Riddler. Cinematic universe. Here's the thing. There's only one person that could have really done all of this, truly, that has given a special source that could have given out all of his information. And he should understand better than anyone else that, that snitches get stitches,
Mm-hmm.
Alfred, man. Alfred telling everyone.
That's a good answer. Like, no one really pays attention what Alfred does for the day. I mean, in return, Alfred was out and about a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I
mean, they got it from Alfred, and Alfred knows, because here's the thing. Batman or Bruce can't really fire Alfred. Like, truly speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Alfred's been the butler for the family for years. How are you going to fire a guy that has been with your family for years? And not to mention, he's old. I mean, just look at him. He's so old.
Mm-hmm.
Alfred's got immunity.
Yeah.
He told them all. He was just like, you want to hear about his love story? I got you.
Yeah, and on top of that, he knows how to make some of those gadgets. You think Bruce is making all those gadgets? No, Alfred helps out. He knows how to use some of that stuff. So he helps out. He helped make the bat suit.
Yeah.
Bruce don't have time doing that. He's too busy being rich.
Exactly.
So yeah, I agree. I think Alfred might be been leaking stuff.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think for us in this movie, what did you think about Batman just in general? How did you think Val Kilmer's Batman handled himself in this movie?
Very, very conflicted. Like, it felt like that he didn't know. It was a conflict of didn't know, like, does he want to be Batman or does he want to be Bruce Wayne?
Okay.
That was the conflict, right? And I know that sounds typical. It's like, well, duh, that's what Batman is. He always had the conflict of being Batman. But this one here, they really put it out because they just scream it out so much of, it feels like that he's sick of it even more now than his previous time. And that was a little, and very emotional. He's a lot more emotional in this one compared to his previous ones.
Like emotional Batman or
Emotional
like,
Bruce.
Yeah, okay.
Very emotional.
That's interesting. I feel differently on that one. But,
you do? Okay. The only reason why I say he's emotional a lot more in this one is because he was very emotional when messing with Robin. I mean, when he was going with Robin, trying to get him to stop doing what he wants to do, getting revenge, and he just got really emotional on those parts, so much that he wants to stop him, and he tried to pump up his chest to Dr. Meridian, just already almost falling in love after just talking her once as Bruce per se.
Yes.
And that came off kind of weird, and then the dreams that he had gave him more emotional. The Michael Keaton edition, it's more he kept it really inside and he didn't really speak up that much. Here, he just let it out more. It just felt like he let it out a lot more to me. So,
okay, all right, yeah, I don't know. I felt like he was more of a stick in the mud as a Bruce Wayne in this movie personally. But there is one thing that we can definitely not deny as far as whether it's Val Kilmer or Bruce Wayne, is it doesn't take much for him to tell anyone that he's Batman, like in any way, shape, or form. Because quite literally, if he gets a boner for you, he's probably going to tell you that he's Batman. And not only is he going to tell you that he's Batman, he is cheap as fuck too. Because he ain't even going to send a limo. He's going to let a cab just take you home. Here you go, Chase. I'm going to quit. I'm going to quit being Batman for you. But here's a taxi.
Here's a taxi.
You cheap ass. Anyway.
Also, he owes her a door.
I will say, though, Jeremy, if you and I have problems getting laid in any way, shape, or form, just when we sit on a couch, like we have to take love advice from Batman. We sit on the couch, we stare at the other person, and we just tell them that we're Batman. And hey, bam, there you go.
Yep.
Because it's not just the car, guys. So before we get on to the next person here, which we will rapid fire some of these next questions from these next guys, because we really don't have that much for you guys on those guys. But Master Evans, would you care for a sandwich?
No, I'll get drive-through.
Where the hell are you gonna take a drive-through with the Batmobile? You tell me.
I know, right?
You in a Batmobile? How you gonna get a drive-through? You ain't rolling down no window. Do you roll the whole thing back? You tell me.
You have to roll the thing back, right? And like, just in general, I can already tell that car is pretty big, that it probably takes off maybe a little bit more extra road than anything. And I'm pretty sure drive-thrus are not that wide for a Batmobile, especially you're going to curve it. Most drive-thrus are. I don't get it. I don't know. Sonic? I guess he would go to a Sonic, I guess. At least he could park anywhere. It would come. Like, but still, you think people are going to freak out when they see a Batmobile? Like, I know he's going to get free food. He has to get free food.
Yeah.
So, but you make sure you have this bat suit, because if you drive without a bat suit, no one's going to take you seriously. And no one's going to question, why do you have a Batmobile? No one's going to really question that. They're just question, oh, you're not Batman. So make sure you have a bat suit when you drive around. I'm going to say Sonic. I mean, that's the only place I can think that would work for him.
Okay. You going to say Sonic?
Yeah. Where would he go to you?
I think he's kind of egotistical. So I think he's going to Mickey D's.
Okay.
He's getting the Happy Meal with his toy.
Just to see, like, oh, they did it right. Yeah.
He's gonna get it with his toy. He's gonna be like, Mom, Dad, oh, they're dead. I have a toy made out of these.
That's morbid. That's so mean. That's so mean and dark. Okay.
All right, guys. Let's talk about our favorite character. Nicole Kidman, if you happen to somehow stumble onto this episode, just want you to know you are a very beautiful woman.
Fact.
But your character, Chase Meridian, why was she even in this movie, Jeremy? What was her purpose? in this movie. I want you guys to know the fact of the matter is our notes, literally our notes. We asked what was the purpose of Chase Meridian. Like we didn't even watch her in this movie, other than the fact that she was just constantly flirting with Val Kilmer. And I think she was flirting with Val Kilmer more than she was actually flirting with him in the movie. Like
Mm-hmm.
Joel Schumacher was like, "You are fascinated with Batman." She was like, "Oh, I love Val Kilmer. He's hot."
Mm-hmm.
Besides the flirting with Val Kilmer, why was she? What was her purpose in this movie?
I think that based on Batman Bruce's relationship, he was with a newspaper woman, then a cat woman. I think Alfred was thinking ahead. He's like, maybe a therapist woman would help because maybe he has a woman that can kind of understand him more and learn about him. I think Alfred called her down there.
Okay.
I think he called her down there, and it's like, I was like, I have something for you. How would you like to learn more about Batman?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and he has to be friends with Gordon, Commissioner Gordon. I think he helped put it all together, and that's why Alfred was just encouraging him, like, go to her, tell her everything. Let her decide who she wants.
This is fair. All right. So besides the practical effect, why she's going, because I think everyone in the audience, everyone that's out there who watches this movie is going to say the same thing that I think you and I came up with, and that is, how did she get access to the bat signal? But Jeremy notices something when he was asking that question. And Jeremy, what was it that you noticed?
That when Bruce went to go visit Chase, that her office is actually upstairs at the police station, which you don't really notice when you go in until you notice a bunch of cops walking around. That's when you know, like, this is a police department. And also, too, that most police departments, I guess in this phase, thanks to Resident Evil, that there is a front desk and he directs her right up there. And he was wearing a police outfit and everything. It was not like he was security of that building. There was police officers. And as he was walking to her office, you saw more police officers. And I believe in front of the desk, it says Gotham Police Station. So she's a therapist. And on top of that, Commissioner Gordon said, yeah, she came down here to work with us. So she works at the police station as a therapist.
Yeah. She works in the police station as a therapist, and people may be asking why. So that obviously answers the question how she got access to the bat signal, because obviously it's on the roof, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm sure the other question is like, what kind of police station is that? Like, no, we agree. We completely agree with you guys. It's a police station that makes a bunch of buku bucks, apparently, like legitimately. Because I mean, think about all the villains that they took down, and they just took their money and just put it into the police station. That's just how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And people may be asking, why does a therapist work at a police station? But in reality speaking, I mean, two of the most highly committed or highly suicidal careers in the world is doctors for one and police officers for another. So Gotham City Police understood that they needed to have a therapist on site to kind of help them go through the tough times, because A, they suck. Not the police in general, but Gotham City Police sucks. And they suck so bad that random villains like the Riddler or Two-Face or Joker or Bob show up and just do whatever the fuck they want. So, yeah, they needed a therapist to kind of help them out. Plus, I'm sure they were just kind of like, let's find the hottest therapist that we could find and just be completely sexist about this and just have her there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened, man.
No, that's exactly what happens, because in this particular one, there was less police officers than the previous ones, and they were all terrible. I mean, think about it. These policemen, some of these policemen had to go to get therapy after Two-Face and Riddler tried to punch them. Like, two cops were getting literally volunteered to get punched in the face. Yeah, go to a therapist about that. Like, what do you do in that situation?
Yeah, exactly. Like letting security that guy just gets punched in the face, right? and he just stood there. Like, you know why he stood there? Because he was dead inside. That's why he stood
What about the police officer that, or maybe the security guy that worked in that building where he was in the safe with Batman? Yeah, pretty sure he went to go see her after that.
there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's just dumb. That guard in that. We'll talk about that later. We'll just talk about how dumb he is later. The thing is that yes, she is a therapist that is helping out the police academy or the police department. She's not a very. I wouldn't say she's very good at her job. She's not a very bright therapist, in my opinion, though, because she got highly offended. I would say whenever Batman was just like, "Bats aren't rodents." And for someone who is a doctor, you should know that, Dr. Chase Meridian, that bats are just not rodents or in that class. But enough about the good people of Gotham City, and enough about me talking about the good people of Gotham City. Let's talk about the bad people. And we're going to turn it over to Mr. Endgame Boss himself. Well, he's going to talk about the sub-bosses in this movie.
All right, so let's go right into Two-Face. Two-Face has been a character that we've been seeing at the very beginning that is supposed to be developed from the first one, from, from the very first 89 to the Return, which he disappeared in Returns, and then now he has made his premiere as Two-Face in this one. The first question I would like to ask is, how did the concept of his acid took over his whole body? So so we've seen him in a courtroom as one of a mob. I want to say one of the witnesses on the stand, or maybe it was the client, or whatever it was that was on the pedestal. Apparently, he had some acid stuff in his pocket, and he shot it at Harvey Dent, and he tried to block it with one of his folders. Didn't work out. Synced through as Batman was trying to save him from getting acid on his face. Get the face, but somehow that acid was so crazy that it managed to make it all over his body. How does that work, first of all?
That's a good question. I mean, that is about as good as how. That is about as good of a question as how Batman just randomly shows up at a court hearing and just jumps out of nowhere to try to save the actual Harvey Dent. I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. But in order for me to answer this question, we have to talk about the entirety of what happened for Harvey Dent since 1989 until now. So if you don't know, Harvey Dent was a black man in Batman in 89. And somehow in 95, he's a white man. And I got an answer for that.
Okay.
So he went through a bleaching process that they say Michael Jackson went through. So he was in the process of bleaching his body because he as a black man understood that in not only Gotham City, but just kind of the general world, that he felt that he was looked down upon, and he wanted to fit in, be one of the good old boys. So he felt that he needed to change his entire look. So they started with the face, and they were working their way down, but they didn't finish. And you couldn't really tell that they didn't finish because he still had his normal DA, district attorney suit on and everything. So it wasn't that the fact that the acid scarred the entire side of his body. It's because that they only bleached one half of his body, so the other half was still black. So he was half white man and half black man.
Okay.
So in reality, half his face was scarred from the acid, but he still was the half black. So he was half black, half white, and he was just like, well, I'm not gonna worry about bleaching the rest. We're just gonna call it good. So underneath his suit, it was half black, half white, and then he was Two-Face up top. That's what happened.
Okay. I'm going to say he fell in the sewer and the chemical stuff to turn him all bleach white like the Joker. And he's like, oh, well, I guess I got a new life. So, he comes in and he, go in and say, I'm the new Harvey Dent. And people are like, like that old Altoid commercial.
Okay. Yeah.
He was walking down the street and he's like, I have an idea. And he just yeah. And then he just walks into the office like, I'm the new DA. Yeah. And they're like
Mentos, the fresh maker.
With them finding out this is the second anniversary of, I believe, Two-Face like being out, I guess, it shows that like we don't know what happened in between that moment, the first year of Two-Face. Like, what was he doing at the time? So my only answer to that is he sucked his first day and he went to prison really quick. I don't know. That's the only answer I got. And then somehow he got out of jail and just went again. There's really I really don't have a solid answer for that part. What about you? Do you have a solid answer for that?
Honestly, he escaped and then he came up with an elaborate plan. And that's what he did during the time. He found a way to escape. I mean, he was Shawshank Redemption all the way. Like, he was not only just, the white guy, but he was also Morgan Freeman at the same time. And he spent his time just chilling until he can plan the next big plan, and then he tried to execute it.
Okay.
And that was it.
Okay.
That's all he did. He just waited for the Batman. Just like, I just wait every year for the same date. This is when Two-Face is gonna show up.
But the one thing that the acid did do to him, it hurt his brain a little bit. Only because his plans through his attempt to get Batman were not very good ideas. Weren't really thought out. It was more like, we'll just go with the flow. I have the idea. We'll improvise as we go. So let's talk about his safe idea that he did at the beginning of using the security guard as a way to get Batman to come to him. So, first off, the safe. So we take the security guy and put him in the safe, which the question is, why does the security guy didn't even put any effort to try to escape? I mean, the guards, his goons, literally put him in there and they walked off like they were like, you're good. You're not going to do anything. I think he had enough time by the time Batman arrived, from the shootout to the fighting, and Two-Face was already gone on a helicopter by then, ready to trap Batman and stuff. He could have escaped, or yes. he could at least got half his body out of there somehow. And the fact that Batman went fully in there to get him, not knowing why we just throw him in the safe like that? Must be something. Why didn't Batman not put two and two together like that? But the most important question of it all is, how did he get acid in the safe? Like, he's carrying him off, and then he gets him first of all, he can radio in and they can hear him perfectly through the safe. So somehow he got installed a radio thing. And then he puts out the acid in there. So, who installed the acid? Was that safe made up? Did they create that safe and then they made it set up? Why bust down the wall just to escape the safe? There's a lot of mystery behind that. How does the acid work in this safe? Nam, I ask you, why would he use the same thing that hurt his face that he wants to do to everybody?
I'm not gonna have a good answer on the acid at all. At all. It makes no physical sense that, because it's hanging, the canister or the safe or the container is what I call it, is hanging from a helicopter, and the guard and Batman were in there, and they were concerned that it was going to get filled up with this acid. But let's be honest with ourselves, it's not really acid. But needless to say. And the only thing I can tell you about that is that in the helicopter, we saw the pilot, but we didn't see what was going on in the helicopter. Really, it wasn't connected by a cable, but it was more of a tube that went all the way into the actual container, and they were just pouring from this big drum. This big drum, it says Shrek Corporations on it.
Okay.
And they're pouring what you say is acid, and what we've clarified before, Jeremy, that was not acid. It's dip.
It's dip.
The dip. Because not only did the security guard act
Here comes the cinematic universe again.
Not only did the security guard act really stupid and not actually bounce out or even just roll out like this, just roll. Because, I mean, his arms and his legs were tied, but it wasn't like he couldn't just kind of, like, bowed up and, like, got into, like, a fetal position and got up. He could have just rolled out. But when he was in there, did you not think that he sounded a little cartoony?
Don't do this, man. Don't do this, man. Don't
Like,
do this.
oh my
Don't do it.
And he's like, that's why you ate it. And it just sounded exactly like that, and you know it.
It's boiling acid.
He sounded like a cartoon. He's like, it was hands. I thought you were going to let me live.
So you think he's a cartoon inside a human?
He's a cartoon. He's a tune. That was dip. Shrek lives. Shrek's container of dip from Toontown made it all the way. And the person that was pouring it down the tube was Judge Doom. So yes, it was Judge Doom in the helicopter with the tube of dip trying to kill Batman. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't say what I was going to say anymore because I've already said it once before. But you know what it is.
So, one thing about Two-Face is he's a bit of a wild card. You know, based on his coin when he flips, you know, he decides with the faith of people or he decides what he wants to do. He's kind of zany in a kind of way, right? And the last thing that you ever want to see him is really any patience to listen to anybody. He doesn't have time for that. I mean, he has a gun and he's waving around. He just likes putting on the show. He just likes violence. This is what he is. So the fact that it was weird that he would give Riddler patience and time when Riddler found his hideout, you know, to discuss what he wanted to do about Batman. Now, I don't understand, and you don't understand even more, of why would Two-Face even give him a slightest of anything, like the patience and the time to give it to him. Why did now this change? Do you think it's because that, I guess, he ran out of ideas?
You know, that's a good question. It's been something that I've been kind of playing in my head over and over and over again. Because in my mind, when I think of Tommy Lee Jones and I think of Two-Face in this movie, is that he is very maniacal yet kind of wacky in this movie. But he is heartless. I do feel that if there are situations where he should be really cold and just, like, he should have just ended it. Like, the moment that Joker, or not Joker, I know we keep saying Joker and stuff like that, but I mean the Riddler, whenever the Riddler enters his lair, he should have been like, gun, hold it, like, let me flip my coin, heads you live, tails you live, heads you die.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll let you talk. But he didn't. And I sat there and I was really not sure why, but I think the only thing I can say is that you know how we all have that friend that we just kind of they're a friend, they really are, but we tolerate them. We just kind of let them come with us and do stuff with us, but it's kind of socially awkward and not necessarily the life of the party or has extremely much, but he's a good person. We know, but he's harmless.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's how Two-Face looked at him. It's like, this guy is harmless. Like, he can't do anything to me. I can kill him anytime I want to. We're just gonna. It's like Ringo from the Beatles. It's like we're just gonna let him do his thing, and then I'll give him an opportunity. And you know what? And we'll let luck decide at the very end. But he thought he was harmless. This is the only way. Or actually, no. I'm just gonna go with that. I have another one back, but I'll say that one.
I honestly think during that whole time that he was looking for his coin, and while he was talking to him, and he was just searching his pocket and he couldn't find it. He was just searching for it the whole time, but he didn't want to show that he is confused. So he is like, that's why he's like, because I can't find my quarter. So go ahead.
Okay, that's fair.
Go ahead.
That's
Go ahead. I'll let you talk and do your thing. Because while the Riddler was walking around explaining stuff, he was still looking for it. And then that's when he finally said it. And I was like, okay, you said what you need to said. I still don't like what you did and everything. Heads. Because he found it. So.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I like that one much better than mine. I did come up with something else as I was talking, but we'll get to that. I know we will.
Okay. And I also think, just a quick thing before we go to the Riddler, because this is a perfect segue to go to the Riddler, is I believe his girls is the one that actually helped him make the outfit. You know, they were indecisive. So they, you know, one girl did one side and she did the other one. That's how Two-Face got every outfit done, is by those two girls. Did the Riddler knew where Two-Face's hideout was way before he introduced himself to him? And the reason I brought that up is because after Two-Face let Riddler live, he just magically grabbed two devices that he has been working on. That is his 3D TV / brain drain device, and he present them on two different spots, and he directed the girls where to go, which they just volunteered to do it without even being hesitant of what this thing does. No one knows what this device does other than in that room, other than the Riddler himself, right? So
Yeah.
So that's the question, right? So they sit down. They get zapped in, boom, it's done. Do we believe that the Riddler knew where the hideout was way before this whole setup of him coming in with the suit and everything?
Did he know? You would have to think that he had to have some sort of relationship with the girls, right? Besides me saying that Riddler was their pimp. That the girls were in some way, shape, or form in cahoots with the Riddler, because there was no way that he could have just shown up and had his actual products in the
hideout.
In the hideout. Or the other explanation is that he is related to the butler of Mr. Deeds. And you know how the butler of Mr. Deeds is like, I'm very sneaky. And he's just really sneaky. Sneaky.
I think I like the fact that he knew those girls ahead of time, because the fact that when he told them, how'd I found you through them. And it's like, he has to be in cahoots with them in some shape. He's the one that volunteered those girls to be with him way before it all started. He was by himself in the hideout, but after he was fascinated by him after the circus incident, because we don't know where he got the money at, but actually he does. He probably robbed from Wayne Enterprises and presented that money to them to do the job, because all of a sudden the girls end up being separated. The white blonde girl end up hanging out with the Riddler most of the time, while the dark one hangs out with Two-Face all the time.
Spice.
Yeah, so they are all cahoots. The only person that's not a cahoot is Two-Face. I think he was unaware of everything because Two-Face was easily convinced to do it all. That's my theory.
I mean, the other thing is that, Riddler's UPS, or I don't know what would it be UPS? I guess UPS is still there. UPS, like the actual device with instructions for the women for sugar and spice. And they tried it out and he absorbed it.
That's a good, okay.
Yeah, and he absorbed the information and that's how he knew where the hideout was. And he went there and they just kind of ad-libbed it because sugar and spice kind of already, obviously spice is going to go on the darker side and sugar is going to go on the lighter side. Since Sugar's the nice one, he knew that she was going to be like, all up on him while Spice goes off and does her own thing. So, I mean, that's the other possibility too. But I'm sure that probably helps you segue into your next question.
Yes, but actually, I have one quick question. It just spawned on me for a second. Just a quick answer, rapid fire. During the dinner, what do you think he would have gone with? The roasted pig or the soup?
Which one?
Two-Face. Two-Face, when he came in, they cooked 2 dinners for him. Which one do you honestly would have picked?
I think he would have went with the roasted pig.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah. Okay. That's all I wanted to get out there. Okay. So let's get to the meat of this. Riddler made a device, the 3D TV, aka the brain drain, that he wanted to circulate all over the world. Because he was denied this idea from Bruce, which we never understand why Edward was impatient to get an answer. I mean, to wait for an answer with Bruce, after Bruce told him, hey, just give me the schematics, talk to my secretary, we'll get it all together. But he was impatient, right? When we don't understand why he was impatient about that. Maybe because he knew that he didn't want to delay the process. He just wanted to get this done. He wanted to become something, maybe. And he knew that this might take too long. Before I let you think about your theory on that, the main question is, after he went through the whole process of trying his machine with his boss, and then, it worked in his mind that he could take the information, put it in his brain, killed him, whatever. Out of this whole thing of he made this a big business, how exactly does this device really work? Because it sounds very confusing. Nam, could you piece together this riddle? I ask you, riddle me this. How does this device work?
And I'll riddle you this. And I'll tell you that I have no idea. I honestly don't know, because you have to sit there and think about it. Like, so he absorbs brainwaves. In my mind, I think it's just absorbing brainwaves and giving him more of a capacity to absorb things and not so much know everything that everyone is presenting. Because that begs the next question is, like, you're not exactly the smartest person in the world. Because, I mean, if he absorbed my brainwaves, like, would he just not be very smart? Does that, like, knock you down? Mm-hmm. I think absorbing the brainwaves, he absorbs it and it gives him more of a capacity. Like, let's say that we can learn this much in our life, right? In our brain, that's how much we can learn. But the more room, it's like plugging in a USB
like
drive,
an external hard drive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like plugging in an extra hard drive. It gives you so much more room to absorb. So I think the brainwave thing gives him more storage. Not necessarily the ability to know what's going from one mind to another, but just more storage so he can learn more stuff and keep and retain and utilize more stuff. That's how I feel it should be. But then again, the thing is that as he's absorbing things from people, he knows their deepest, darkest secrets, which makes no sense, because it's like, do you really want to know from absorbing my brain the entire Britney Spears catalog?
He did say he wants to learn people about people's sexual fantasies. He did say that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Do you really want to know every single word of every single Britney song known to man? Does he want to hit me, baby, one more time?
Actually, I think the proper song is Toxic.
Oh, is that what it was? Because, oops, I did it again.
You know, it's in. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. Like, so I think that's how it works. He absorbs and it just creates more space in his brain to take on things. I don't necessarily think it is just actually absorbing it, and that he has the actual parts like the receivers and all that stuff. It's more of a he didn't have to create it to look so big, but it's just more of a design. He thought that looked cool because it was the 90s. I mean, that's the only thing I got, man.
Yeah. So we have, for people in my mindset, if you have the device at home, the device zaps on your head, and apparently it can do multiple hits. Because we have seen a family get multiple hits from their heads. We didn't see multiple devices in the home. If I'm correct, Nom, I believe it's one device, and it can do a whole family. Is that correct? Did you get that?
I thought they had like little receivers. I wasn't sure.
Okay, regardless though, it's still probably one device, but maybe they had different devices to connect to it, but it was still only one device in the home. So that connects out to let's say a Wi-Fi, connects to the Wi-Fi that he has created on this exclusive island away from Gotham City. So you're seeing all these waves, these green waves just going through the sky that apparently no one noticed. And it goes to him sitting in his throne as it goes right into his head. If we see it goes right in his head. And apparently it makes him drool because he goes a little nuts with it, right? So I agree that you said it becomes an external hard drive that maybe from there he collects maybe what he wants to collect. That's what he says, like collect passwords and codes and sexual fantasies and all this kind of stuff. But at the same time, he uses as source in these little files, these little vials that he created, as he used it to find out who Bruce was when he put a device in one of his machinery in his throne, that he found out who he is. So that's what I'm getting out of it with the device, the concept of the device. But the mechanism of the device still doesn't make sense, because if this device breaks, apparently it can reverse it somehow, and I don't get that. If you burst something, it should be scattering everywhere. Not so much of it reverses the process. So to that point, I still don't get it. Your answer seems like it's the better idea, because like I honestly can't really explain except telling you what the device is trying to do. But I don't understand what he gains from so much of that knowledge, especially where what he's trying to use it for. I feel like he was doing it kind of before with the heist with Two-Face, like grabbing jewels, stealing money and all that stuff. I'm like, it feels like you're doing better than that because cops are not doing anything about it. So why build this device to learn more about everybody, and you're not really using it either in that way? You know, it felt like they were mainly using this device to really know who Batman is. And that's really it, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because I think we talked a little bit off camera, but Jeremy brings up a good point. You want to tell the audience how you felt the Riddler was from like beginning to start with the brain device, because in theory I asked him, he absorbs everything and it should make him smarter, but Jeremy retorted.
So we said that the all that knowledge goes into his head, the device, right? It's not like all the knowledge that he got here felt like he was smart. It's not like he became the smartest person in the room. Through this whole movie, he was still being him. So I don't get the payoff of what this device is doing for him necessarily. You know, it makes sense if he was smarter and he can take over the city with his brain power or something like that. I mean, Penguin did more effort than he did. He was just trying to be a mayor, you know? But here, he had the whole world in his hands, but he didn't really do anything with that, and it didn't make sense in that aspect. I don't get it. And that's the only thing I can tell you that's rhetorical. Like, he didn't use the gift that he was given to, and it didn't do anything. And then you ask the question, like, well, what if you absorb somebody that's not very smart? Does that take an effect? But you don't see that difference either.
Because I was going to say, if you take someone who's really smart, then obviously you get smarter because you gain their knowledge, right?
Uh-huh.
But if someone isn't very smart or someone doesn't really think that highly, especially if you're getting stuff from a kid, what's that really going to help you? Because if I absorb brainwaves from like a 10-year-old kid, that's really not going to do anything for me because I should know about the same, if not more, than what the 10-year-old kid, unless they were very specific about something. But don't get me wrong now. I'm not knocking on 10-year-old kids because they're better at Fortnite than I am. But I'm just stating, like, you know, there's some people you're not going to really learn that much from if you absorb their brainwaves, and I didn't really get that. Jeremy did bring up a good point that Riddler's character didn't get any better from like the very beginning. He just became less socially awkward throughout the entire movie. He was already a really smart character. He was just more suave and debonair whenever they met him at the party. Was it really because he got smarter? Was it just because he was like, all right, I'm comfortable with who I am. I want to be this criminal. I want to be this mastermind villain now.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to present myself as something different, as an entrepreneur.
So,
and
go ahead.
I don't understand now to explain what I think on how his brain just how everything went away. I think kind of like what we said, there's an extra surge, like electrical surges, like whenever there's lightning strikes or anything like that, it fries your computer, it fries, like, it's not that it goes away, but it overcharges what's going on in the brain, and then it just kind of like, you know, breaks down and melts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what happened, is that whenever it's broken, there's a surge of everything, and he had everything going in his head so much that all of a sudden it just, like, you know, wasn't consistent. It was just this big splatter. And all of a sudden he just went down and fried him.
So the most important question out of this whole thing is, why didn't Riddler use all the source, all the energy, all the minds, to use that as some kind of weapon to bargain to take over the city? Because the reason I brought that up is because that device that he had on his island took out Batman's plane and sank into the water. That device shot a laser and shot it. Why didn't he decide to use it that way to threaten the city? Right, I use everybody's minds as an energy source. Now I have infinite enough to cause damage to the city.
Because of Joel Schumacher. That's why. Because the movie can't continue if he just does that, Joey.
Because.
I'm going to need you to get way up and back.
Okay. So with that, Batman does stop Riddler by going stealth mode and throws the batarang at this giant ass source. What did the stealth visor, that's the word, stealth visor, do that would make it better for him to hit that thing more accurate?
It's night vision.
Is it like, too greeny in there? Why? You could see it was too greeny?
It was too green, and it was just, there was some fog in there, and he was just like, I'm just not sure if I threw this little batarang at 100-foot lava lamp that's hanging in the air that I'm pretty sure I could hit if I closed my eyes and just threw a pebble up there. he needed to make sure so that the visor came down, and he just wanted to look cool, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
he gave the riddle to the Riddler. You know, the Riddler was like, blind, that's the bad. He's like, yeah. Or Jeremy, he's just really bad at aiming, and he needed to blind himself so that if he threw it, he had a better chance.
Okay.
And that was it. Or his favorite character is Daredevil.
He has too much water in his eyes from the
Yeah.
from the water, and he's still kind of blurry, you know. So, all right, as you know, we rank our villains, and the way it works is we think who we think is the number one in our own private list, and from the lowest, who was the least. I'll go first. Mine was a mixed bag, and I apologize because I was wrong on a lot of stuff. Now put me to the light. He showed me a different view of stuff. But
Okay.
it did get me thinking of a bunch of, in this one, because this one is a bit of a mixed bag too. So who are the characters that are being put into this list? Well, now we have Riddler and Two-Face that are now being put on this list. No one else, right? No one else?
No one that I can think of.
Okay. So with me, I honestly believe the lowest out of all of them, I think it has to be Riddler.
Okay.
And then followed by, it's going to be Catwoman. You convinced me about Catwoman, but I didn't have time in the last episode to tell you convinced me. So now I'm saying it now. Okay. So Riddler is definitely down at the bottom because even though he had this great idea of anything, he didn't use it to the full potential. He was kind of just worthless. You know, Two-Face carried him. Riddler was more the brain, and Two-Face was the muscle in this kind of aspect. But overall, he did nothing. The device didn't hurt anybody either. Like, draining these people's memories and all this knowledge did not make the people stupid. You know, if it made people stupid and accidents happen and deaths happen, maybe that would have been number one. But it didn't happen. There was nothing that device did anything for it. So he was useless through this whole thing. He was basically comedy relief for this whole thing. I think Riddler's definitely on the bottom. At least with Catwoman, she got her hands a little dirty. Probably not dirty enough as everybody else on this list, but she goes up because she actually, like, killed a person.
Yeah.
You know, Riddler didn't even care. Riddler blew up the Batman. Riddler would have gone up if he killed Bruce and there was opportunity, but he did not do that. So above Catwoman, I would put Bob. I think Bob still got his hands dirty. He was the right-hand man. He still got it done. Regardless, you wanted me to do it, I did it. Boom. Then is Shrek. I put Shrek above him. Then this is where it kind of gets the split for me. I still believe Joker's number one to me, personally. Then Penguin, then Two-Face.
Okay.
The reason why the Penguin's still above Two-Face is because Two-Face was just pure violence. Not very smart. And actually, to tell you the truth, he honestly didn't kill a lot of people either.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, he didn't kill a lot of people, but he was so ruthless that he wouldn't give up trying to kill people. So I put him over Shrek to me because the fact that he was pure revenge and he didn't care who was around. He loved violence. He was pure violence. So that's my list. So just to recap, it is Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, Shrek, Bob, Catwoman, Riddler.
Okay. All right. All right. Let's look at my rogue gallery rankings. And in fact, honestly, for the most part, I think a lot of our rankings from one episode to the next may not be very consistent. But we're trying, guys. We may or may not record this within 3 weeks or so from each episode, and we may or may not have forgotten, and we're too lazy to go back and try to figure out what we said.
Bingo.
So, Penguin's still my number one guy. Like, I think Penguin's still number one. I think he killed the most people, not to mention he wanted to kill children too as well. As far as the most ruthless person. Number two, Joker, still going. You're going to go 1, 2. You're going to go with the dark, version of Batman and not this colorful comic booky or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Schumacher guy. Number 3, still going with Shrek.
Okay.
On this, Shrek killed his business partner. Also, probably killed a lot of people to get what he wanted. He was a ruthless, murderous guy all the way through and through. Here's where you start seeing some of the Schumacher guys going. The next one on the list, obviously, I think you guys could probably figure it out. It's not the Riddler. Two-Face for sure, because I think Two-Face did actually just straight kill people. Yes, he flips a coin, but it was a flip coin, black, white, you're dead. That's it. You dead, you live. That's it. And he took care of business when he needed to take care of business, and he let people live when he needed to let people live. Pure luck, that was as simple as that. Next one on that list is Bob. Bob had to do some dirty work to actually kill people for the Joker. And actually, to go back onto Two-Face, the reason why I don't rate Two-Face any higher than where I have him now is because, similar to what Jeremy said, honestly, you said that he carried Riddler in this movie. As far as entertainment and how their characters were kind of portrayed in the criminal world, yes, to a point. I feel the Riddler was the quote-unquote head honcho, but had the plans and everything else in place, but didn't really do any dirty work per se. So Bob, I still say, then the Riddler. Yes, I get everyone's going to say, well, no, Jeremy. Riddler did kill. Yes, he did kill before he was the Riddler. Before he became the Riddler, he killed somebody. After he became the Riddler, he didn't do anything. And you know what? You get penalized for that. That gets it down. So, Riddler and then Catwoman. Yes, I forgot to mention Shrek. I'm sorry. Did I mention Shrek?
Yeah, you did. Shrek is above Two-Face.
Yeah, Shrek, Two-Face. Yeah, Shrek, Two-Face, Riddler.
No, Bob.
Shrek. Yeah, I'm forgetting all
Sorry,
the rude
so
guys.
I'll do it
Bob,
for you. Penguin, Joker, Shrek, Two-Face, Bob. You are putting Riddler above Catwoman, correct?
Riddler above Catwoman, yes. I'm putting Riddler above Catwoman. And here's why.
Okay.
Because Shrek didn't die. Catwoman didn't kill Shrek. Because Shrek is not dead. Shrek is Judge Doom in a helicopter with the dip. And this is why he's not dead.
Okay.
If he's not dead, guys, then Catwoman didn't kill anybody. All she did was beat up some people who deserved to be beat up and then talk shit to a woman that was victim. That was like, I hate it when people are victims. You know what? I understand that because we all hate people who act like victims. And I don't mean in the sense that you're truly a victim. When you're truly a victim, I get that. But when you act like a victim and you have no reason to act like a victim, we hate you. That's how it works.
You know what I say to that? Yawn.
No, in all seriousness, Catwoman to me really didn't do anything that was bad. She wanted revenge, and she was very catty.
Okay.
So she's at the bottom for me. That's my list, guys. Jeremy named it after you.
Okay. And now we get to the last part of the show, the Rotten Tomato. I leave it to Nam. Bring us to the Rotten Tomato meter.
You guys ready for Rotten Tomatoes? I hope you are, because let's do this. The critics gave this movie out of 68 reviews a 38%. And you would think that the critics were harsher than the audience about the movie, but if you were thinking that, you'd be dead wrong. Because the audience, out of 250,000 reviews, gave it a 32%. Both of these spilled popcorn with a little bit of mold on it tomato that was splattered against the wall? 38-32? Jeremy, which one and why?
I'm a 32. I'm with the audience only because as a kid, I liked this movie and I didn't care about I didn't have any questions like we're doing right now. But as an adult, I look at it as I don't think this movie knew what it wanted to be. All the cast members were all kind of mixed signals. Like I think Riddler wanted to be the Joker. I think Two-Face wanted to be a Joker. I think they wanted Batman to be more emotional, a little bit more hard ass, or as you probably put it, in your mind. And the world and the environment itself is definitely a whole different thing, and it didn't know what it wanted to be either. It was so colorful and everything. That's what it is. The movie is so colorful, it just got confusing of what this movie wanted to be. From going a dark tone to a super light tone to the Adam West days, movie just was too goofy for its own good. And it was just a misdirection of what it wanted to be. So I'm a 32.
Okay. With Jeremy, am also a 32 with the audience as well. This movie is not a movie that I particularly enjoyed. I don't feel that Nicole Kidman's character, Chase Meridian, deserved to be in this movie or needed to be in this movie. The good thing is that it didn't really hurt anybody's careers in this movie, so good for them. But the direction that they took this movie into a more colorful way, it was uninteresting. The villains weren't as good as they need to be, and I love Tommy Lee Jones, I love Jim Carrey as actors, but it was too wacky. You know what I mean? And yes, that is a professional term. They were just wackos. And that was really kind of what made the movie really sad for me, because the villains weren't all that great. And Batman as a focus and as a character is not all that much of a interesting character, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. The reason why Michael Keaton turned down this role is because he understood the essence of what the entire story is that the story is about Bruce Wayne and not necessarily Batman, and how you portray Bruce Wayne and who you are as Bruce Wayne. And Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne, albeit looks the part, was very like a stick up his ass, in my opinion. Very just kind of cold, very just stiff. Not that he's a bad actor, I'm just saying the character that he portrayed. And that's how I thought this movie was. It just wasn't enjoyable to me. So 32% all the way.
Okay. And that is it. But it's not over. We have one more. And I say that very strongly because it's going to be a struggle. But we're doing it for you. That is the last one of the Batman series of the 90s. And that is Batman and Robin with George Clooney and the rest of them. As we go through with Mr. Freeze, Miss Ivy, and Bane. So, but as you know, please leave a comment down below. Tell us with your thoughts, your concerns. Tell us all your thoughts and what other unanswered questions that are in this movie that we don't know about. And then on top of that, check out our previous ones to catch yourself up as we, head towards the premiere of The Batman. So, Nam, is there anything you want to add before we head out?
The low-hanging fruits. The huevos that everyone is talking about, they're sitting there going to themselves, Jeremy, no, what the hell is wrong with you? Why didn't you talk about the one and only question that we really, really wanted to know? And let me tell you something. I know you guys want to know why we didn't talk about the bat nipples. But you will have to wait until the next movie and the next episode for us to tell you the answer to the bat nipples. And spoiler, guys, it's not going to be a very good answer. So we'll see you guys on the next. Boom.